Hey everybody, I am live and I'm going to have two live streams. The first one is to talk about the amazing Star Wars The Last Jedi. I can see this movie again and again and again and again and again and again. Although I think I'll see it probably as many times as I saw Wonder Woman. Maybe. Yeah, definitely. But this was the best Star Wars movie of them all. I've seen all of them many times over. And I go back to the original Star Wars in 1977, saw it in Oakland, and then, of course, we waited for some time for the Empire Strikes Back. And the reason why I hesitated is when I think of The Empire Strikes Back, a ton of superlatives come up. Stupendous, spectacular, bombastic, excellent, romantic. All of that just comes together. The Last Jedi was that and much more. The Last Jedi was the first movie I've seen in a long time that successfully mated special effects and dialogue. It took a long running time to do it. The movie was about 2.5 hours, but I didn't get tired of watching it. If you pay attention and know the Star Wars story, there are gigantic references and small references. This is a discussion and review that is going to be laid in with spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, maybe you should turn away about now. But this movie had a huge cast. Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, the late Carrie Fisher, sadly. John Boyega, fantastic role. Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, Lisa Marie Tran, Benicio del Toro, Gwendolyn Christie, and who is Captain Phasm. Really round out the cast, as well as Domhnall Gleeson, Andy Serkis, who plays Snoke, Lupita Nyong'o, Anthony Daniels, Tom Hardy, Billy Lord, who is actually Carrie Fisher's daughter, and Warwick Davis. So those are the principal. That's the principal cast of a movie that had quite literally a cast of thousands. And I had to read the list to make sure I didn't miss anybody, because to miss anyone or naming anyone in the discussion of this movie is to do them a disservice. Everybody had time, but what really stuck out for me was this love triangle that revealed itself toward the end of the movie. And it's set up by, well, first of all, in The Force Awakens, that story is defined by the relationship of Finn and Rey. And Rey, of course, is the woman who discovers later that she has extraordinary powers. She's extraordinarily one with the Force. Finn is a former stormtrooper, turns out he's human, who discovers that, because the thought is that stormtroopers are not really human. They're not controlled. They're rather controlled by a machine, and they're led around, and they are people who are so heavily trained and whose minds are so heavily controlled, if you will, that they are, for all practical purposes, robots and clones. But then there's Finn, who is actually possessing of a number for a name. But rather than use his number, he adopts the name Finn and is called Finn. So he still has a great deal of growing to do, but his growth path is defined by breaking away from the Empire, from the Republic, from the Empire and the stormtroopers, and joining the rebel forces and meeting Rey, who's part of the rebel forces, and falling in love-like with her. I say love-like because they're still trying to figure out who they are as people. In The Last Jedi, Rose, who's played by Lisa Marie Tran, is enamored with Finn, who by The Last Jedi is identified as this hero who helped release the rebel forces from the fate of certain death at the hands of the Empire, and forces that were led by Snoke and Kylo Ren. Toward the end of the film, when it looks like he's going to kill himself, and you could hear the audience. I'm here in suburban Atlanta, and you could feel the audience be sensitive to the possibility that this black star was going to be killed off early in the movie, right? And so just when it looks like Finn is going to do that, here comes Rose to basically knock him off target because he's trying to be a martyr and say, I came to save you, and then she kisses him. And he looks at her like, oh my God, what did she just do? She kissed me. And he kissed her back. Well, they kissed, right? But it was her leading the way and him expressing shock at this outpouring of emotion, particularly when his mindset through the first and second films is to find and reconnect with Rey, which he eventually does, at the same time seeing how she has grown into this messianic figure who can move rocks with her brain. All right? And that was an incredible scene. But the minute the rocks are out of the way, he goes bolting for her. He doesn't waste any time. They hug and embrace, and Rian Johnson, the director, closes right in on their embrace, you know, and we see, hey, they're back together. But Rose has risked her life for Finn, and so she's still hurt. And in the closing scene, she is recovering off to the side. He's putting a little blanket over her, and Rey is talking to Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher has since passed on, so if you think about it, we have a lot of change in this film. We have the resolution of who the Last Jedi is. It's Rey. We have the passing of Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. We have Yoda around, but around, literally, he's a spirit. We don't have Obi-Wan Kenobi. We don't have Darth Vader, it would seem, or Anakin Skywalker, it would seem. We have Kylo Ren, but he's very broken. His ambitions and desires for grandeur made toast for now. He even tried to reconnect with Rey, and she literally slammed the door on him. It was a beautiful scene. Literally slammed the door on him. So we have, with all that, we have Poe meeting Rey for the first time, and he says, "Oh, I know who you are." Do I think anything will happen with that? No, because there was nothing there to even imply a romance in the future. Just not. But what we have are, the situation we have is a new Star Wars for a new generation. Because Harrison Ford passed on. Carrie Fisher passed on. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker's passed on. He'll be there in spirit. They'll all be there in spirit. We have C-3PO and R2-D2, the droids. We have BB-8, and who got some screen time, but not as much as in The Force Awakens, okay? So what we have a completely new Star Wars. We don't have a single character that connects back to 1977, whereas in previous Star Wars we did. You know, in The Force Awakens, you know, we had Carrie Fisher, okay? We had Harrison Ford, okay? That's all you need right there. And then we brought back Mark Hamill. And in the prequel series 1 to 3, we had Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. But there's no ghost of Anakin Skywalker in these two. Well, he did appear in The Force Awakens, Anakin Skywalker, but as a ghost. But that was it. That was it. We have new characters that are developed, and we have this whole new love triangle, and it's new. It's uncharted territory but on the other hand, maybe not, because we had, now that I think about it, we had, for the original Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, it looked like, was in love with Leia, or wanted Leia, but Han Solo really wanted her, okay? And so it was revealed they were connected. So as it evolved, the storyline, we now know that Luke and Leia are brothers, and brother and sister, and Han Solo and Princess Leia became an item and had a child, and that child is Kylo Ren, or went to the dark side, had the Force and went to the dark side. We know that. But what we don't know is who's Rey. We don't know who Rey's parents are. Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, gave some hint when he talked about her parents basically discarding her for money, for drink, or words to that effect. But as manipulative as he is, he tells lies. He tells half the story. So his version of who Rey is can't be believed, because he presents a carved out view told for his own purposes. Okay? Now Rey has found her power. Where does that lead them? And who is the defiant enemy? If anything, with Snoke not being there, not being around, who emerges as the next representative of the dark side? Does Kylo Ren find himself and become that person? Or is he so consumed with anger that he has, for all practical purposes, weakened himself? It's kind of what it looks like. Many questions, many questions. See Star Wars: The Last Jedi, an outstanding movie. And I have to say, I'm really, really, really happy that black men in particular were well represented in this movie, because, as I was talking to my mom about it, I took my mom to see it. She liked it a lot, and also remarked that she was happy to see black men represented, as she put it, front and center in this movie, and not emasculated. Heroic, romantic, daring. That was John Boyega playing Finn. Pilots as extras, security people, stormtroop. Well, I don't know if they were stormtroopers because I can't see by the mask, right? But African Americans represented many different stripes of groups in The Last Jedi. That's the way it should be. And black men were represented as heroes, and that's the way it should be, along with everybody else. Women, both Asian and white and black. Men, white and Middle Eastern, and all different, all combinations of people. Star Wars, The Last Jedi, represented the full flowering of a diverse Star Wars world that really people wanted from the first Star Wars in 1977. And that is a testament to the intricate and fun world that George Lucas built. Everyone wanted to be a part of it. That's what you get when people want to figure out a way to see themselves. It means they want to take ownership of what you've done. That's the definition of fandom. That's what fans do. And there are a ton of fans for Star Wars, and Star Wars The Last Jedi has ensured the maintenance of that fan base for decades to come. Hey, Barry Lee, don't know if you saw Star Wars. See it. It was an outstanding movie. I am going to switch live streams and talk about more casual, common subjects like, you know, Raiders in Las Vegas in a moment. So I will be right back in about 5 minutes or less. Stay tuned. Zenny62 Daily Vlog live stream will return.